So many different ways the Blue Jays could have won that game. That has to be the most heartbreaking way to lose a World Series that I've ever seen a team have to endure. My heart really goes out to Blue Jays fans, and if I was a Blue Jays fan, I would not be watching this video. It's probably going to still hurt too bad, especially if you watch it the day that it was uploaded when it's still so fresh, it's still so recent. Um, there has to be some kind of feeling of like, why even, would it have been better to not make the playoffs at all? Would it have been better to just not even make the World Series if you're going to lose like that, if you're going to come that close? The ball's in the air. It's a foot on the base versus a foot on the base. It's, if Miguel Rojas doesn't make that play cleanly, if he just juggled the ball a little bit, that runner would have been safe at the plate. Blue Jays are World Series champions. If Kike Hernandez, he's looking over his shoulder, it looks like he doesn't know where the ball's coming down. If that ball ends up dropping on the warning track, Blue Jays are World Series champions. Instead, it's the Dodgers. I can't even imagine what the feelings for Dalton Varsho, Ernie Clement, Vladimir Guerrero, those guys who had chances in Game 7. It's something that you hope doesn't stick with them for the rest of their career. It's something that you hope the Blue Jays can recover from. But for the Blue Jays, they're going to keep trying to spend money. They're going to keep trying to get free agents in. Being the defending American League champion should really, really help. But it's decently likely that they're going to lose Bo Bichette this offseason, and that's their number one hit machine, really. I mean, Vlad Guerrero is the centerpiece of their offense, but Bo Bichette is a better singles hitter than anybody on that team, and that team is a team of singles hitters. And just given the history of the franchise and the history of their struggle to bring in free agents, I don't know how long it's going to be until the Blue Jays are back here again. Because of how bad last season went for the Blue Jays, they were able to put 2 seasons worth of effort almost into this season. This was a Herculean task and a Herculean effort by the Blue Jays. A reason why they're so streaky as a team and why their offense is so up and down is partially because those long rallies they go on do take energy. They do take something out of you as an athlete, physically and emotionally as well in those big championship games. And the weight of people always expecting that rally is so heavy, especially at home. And it was always going to be a hard task against a team in the Dodgers that is the peak of professionalism to win 2 games at home for the Blue Jays when the pressure is all on them. That pressure in Toronto is immense, and that segues well into the first mistake I think the Blue Jays made, that if they would have corrected it, this series would have turned out differently, and that's Addison Barger's base running mistake in Game 6 that ended the game. And I think that mistake had a lot to do with the crowd. Off the bat, the fans just want it to be a game-tying hit. But to me, that ball off the bat certainly did not look like a hit. It looked like it was going to hang up long enough to get caught, just to the naked eye. Now, there's a billion different angles in the stadium, so you can't blame anybody individually for reading a ball differently. But it's up to Addison Barger, who's played a billion baseball games, to try to differentiate his visual read of the ball from the big pop of the crowd when it comes off the bat, because I think any piece of hard contact was going to get that big reaction from the crowd. And unfortunately, I think in the heat of the moment, Barger subconsciously read the crowd and said, oh, that ball's in the gap, I'm going to go. And decided to go when, I'm sorry, seeing that ball off the bat, to me, I don't understand how you see that as, oh, that ball's going to drop, go, 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 go. You've got a guy ahead of you. You've got a guy on third. You're down 2 runs. You have to understand the circumstance. It's Game 6 of the World Series. You're trying to get the top of that very powerful lineup up and cash in these runs and win the World Series here in Game 6 and not have to go to a Game 7. And instead, he reads it wrong. The Dodgers make the pretty fundamental play and a pretty easy out that he gave them there. And they win the game. They go on to Game 7, and they end up winning Game 7. And let's talk about how the Dodgers won Game 7. Now, the first thing that could have gone differently was, of course, the 4-2 lead. Blue Jays had a 91% chance of winning the game going into the top of the 8th inning. But it was 2 great at-bats by Muncy and, of course, by Rojas in the 9th inning to tie the game. Max Muncy's home run off Yesavage makes a lot of sense. Yesavage makes a lot of sense to me because of his way over-the-top arm angle. Max Muncy is he always sees the ball well. And a guy with a way over-the-top arm angle, I just feel like nobody with an arm angle that over the top, no matter how nasty you are, is ever going to trouble Max Muncy. Watch somebody pull up a clip of of Yesevich striking out Max Muncy and embarrassing him. I mean, he struck out a bunch of Dodgers in this World Series. Yesevich, he was very impressive. But again, in a big clutch situation, he hung a splitter, and Muncy made him pay. And with Rojas, it was another case of just a professional at bat. Hoffman, he's kind of an old school closer. He's got a very simple repertoire. For Rojas, it was just sit on that off speed pitch and try to do something with it. I think he probably thought that he had a better chance to lift the slider than the fastball. There's really only two pitches that are going to come from Hoffman. He had a better chance to lift the off speed pitch, so he looked for that on 3-2 and lifted it over the fence. It's just him doing his job in the simplest way, but he's doing it on the biggest stage. And I think that's really what it comes down to. That to the Blue Jays, I don't know if in that environment, with all that expectation and all that pressure, and like I said, all the offensive effort that they've given already, all the pressure to create those sustained rallies, I just don't know how easy it is to keep that simple mindset. And a great example of that is Vlad Guerrero's flyout in the ninth inning, trying to hit the walk-off World Series winning home run on a 3-0 pitch. Now, I can't criticize it. He's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He put his A++ swing on that pitch, but it wasn't in the strike zone. It was actually a little outside, and I think that if it was anywhere in the strike zone, he probably gets enough of the barrel on it to get it out and to, rewrite the history books, and I'm sitting here making a completely different video. But instead, this 3-0 pitch is just a little off the plate. It doesn't quite hit the barrel. It gets a little off the end of the bat or a little off the top of the bat, whatever, and it settles into the center fielder's glove. And that was another chance I think that the Blue Jays had where Vlad Guerrero, he could have taken that pitch. Maybe he doesn't quite get it. He fouls it off, hits it back to the screen. The 3-1 pitch is fatter over the plate for a home run. Again, that flyout just doesn't happen and the whole inning turns out differently. We don't know. We can't say. There's also the Pages and Kike fly ball. If Pages doesn't come in and make that play, if he gets nervous, backs off, tries to let Kike handle it, if he just didn't get as good of a read, maybe if he wasn't even in the game as a defensive replacement. The Dodger starter and center fielder was Tommy Edman. So maybe if Tommy Edman is out there, he doesn't make that play. He's not as physically large of a guy. I think the reason why Pages was able to make that play is he kind of bowled over Hernandez, and I don't know if Edman had the physical size to do that. It could have been a much worse collision. The ball ends up dropping, and the Blue Jays are the champions. I mean, see, there's so many little things that could have gone differently. And then you've also got the play by Rojas. And this is the one, to me, that I sort of can picture the most clearly, And I think it's got to hurt the most. I think that's the moment to Blue Jays fans that probably actually hurts the most, where like maybe the fly ball, you thought it was going to go. Maybe you really thought that Guerrero home run was out. I know that the guy behind the plate definitely did. But to me, it's just so easy to picture Rojas fumbling with that ball and the runner just sliding across home plate head first. The Blue Jays come pouring out of the dugout. The crowd's screaming. Vlad Guerrero's crying on the field. It's sports. Sports are crazy. And I'm a Yankee fan. I can't root for the Blue Jays to make it back here again, but it almost makes me want to. Like and subscribe.